I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 8 years now. We've had our ups and downs, sure, but I always believed in the idea of us, what we built together. We got married pretty young, and everyone thought we were the perfect couple. I thought so too. That's why what I discovered a few weeks ago hit me like a ton of bricks. It all started with little things. Lisa started acting distracted, more short-tempered, and she'd lie about where she was going or who she was talking to. At first, I thought maybe she was just stressed with work or something. But then I noticed her phone disappearing more often, and she'd get defensive when I asked questions. She'd say she was tired or just needed space. I let it go because I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband who's accusing her of cheating without real proof. But then came the night I found out for sure. I was coming home late from work, nothing unusual, and I decided to check our security cameras because Lisa had been acting weird lately. I wanted to catch her in a lie, I guess, and what I saw turned my stomach. I saw her sneaking out of the house in the middle of the night, meeting someone. The footage was blurry, but the way she looked around before slipping into her car, that was enough. I saw her knocking on the door of some guy's house. My heart pounding, I replayed it over and over. Who the hell was she meeting? And why was she sneaking out like that? I couldn't believe it. I felt sick. But I knew I had to see more, so I stayed up that night watching the footage again and again until I was sure. It wasn't just some innocent rendezvous. It was her meeting a guy, my best man actually, at our wedding reception. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but it was obvious. They weren't just talking. The way she looked at him, the way they kept sneaking around, it was all there. She was sleeping with him, and she'd lied about being pregnant for months just to keep up the facade. That's when everything shattered. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. She told me she was pregnant, kept insisting I was going to be a dad, and I believed her. It was the biggest lie I've ever been told, and I'd been a fool for believing it. The betrayal cut so deep I felt like my heart was physically ripped out. I don't know how I kept my composure that night. I wanted to scream, cry, punch something. Instead, I just sat there, staring at the screen, trying to process what I'd just seen. Lisa, my wife, the woman I trusted, was sleeping around with my best man at our own wedding. The worst part was her reaction when I confronted her. I couldn't even call it a confrontation at first, it was more of an explosion. I showed her the footage, told her what I knew, and she just looked at me like I was crazy. "Mike, you're overreacting," she said with that bitchy smirk she's got. "You're just paranoid, it's probably nothing, you're seeing things." Yeah, right. I told her how I saw her sneaking out, how she was meeting with him, and she just shrugged. "You don't know what you're talking about," she snapped. "You're just jealous because I've been tired and stressed. Maybe I needed a little fun, okay? It's not a big deal." I couldn't believe her. She was throwing it in my face, acting like I was the crazy one. I wanted to shake her to make her see how much she'd ruined everything. But I just stood there, feeling all the anger and heartbreak boiling over. I realized she'd lied about the pregnancy, lied about everything, just to keep her secret. And now I was left with nothing but broken vows, a marriage shattered, and a woman I thought I knew turning into a stranger. Sometimes I wonder how I didn't see it coming, how I was so blind to her real nature. It's like I was living in some kind of fairy tale, and now I'm just stuck picking up the pieces. That night, after I saw the footage, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of everything. I kept replaying her face when I confronted her, her smug, dismissive attitude, as if she knew she was getting away with something. I felt a mix of rage, heartbreak, and utter betrayal. How could she do this? How could she lie to me for months, pretending to be pregnant, pretending to be this perfect wife? I thought about all the times she said she was tired, the mornings she stayed in bed, the excuses she gave for not wanting to have sex. It was all a lie. I wanted to confront her again, really make her feel the pain she'd caused. But I also knew I needed a plan. I couldn't just blow up everything without thinking. I had to be smart about this. First, I gathered all the evidence, screenshots of the footage, her text messages with him, some of her emails she'd left open on the laptop. I wanted to be ready for whatever she threw at me. I also reached out to a private investigator I knew, someone discreet, just to confirm what I already suspected. I needed to be 100% sure before I took any action. In the days that followed, I watched her more closely. She continued her usual behavior, which was infuriating. She'd still act like everything was fine, throwing tantrums if I questioned her, calling me paranoid. But I could see the cracks in her facade. She was nervous, jittery sometimes, like she knew I was onto her. I kept quiet, waiting for my moment. I didn't want to let her know I knew everything. That would give her the chance to cover her tracks or spin some story I couldn't believe. I also started thinking about how deep this betrayal went. She lied about the pregnancy, about us having a child, when all she did was sleep around with him. Her attitude was so bitchy. She'd snap at me if I dared to ask questions, called me insecure, said I was imagining things. Yeah, she's a real piece of work. And the worst part is, she's still pretending everything's normal, acting like she's innocent. But I knew her better now, or at least I thought I did. She's manipulative, a liar, and she's good at hiding her true colors until it's too late. I decided I needed to get some space, so I moved out of our bedroom. I didn't want to be in the same house with her, not until I had a clear plan. I stayed at my buddy's place, someone I trust, and kept my mind busy. I also called my lawyer to see what my options were. I wasn't planning to just walk away, but I wanted to know my rights, what I could do if I decided to end it. I felt numb most of the time, like I was walking around in a fog. My entire world was falling apart and I didn't even know how to pick up the pieces. One night, I finally got the proof I needed. The private investigator delivered his report, and it confirmed what I saw on the footage. She'd been sneaking around with him for months, probably since before the wedding. The pregnancy was fake, just another lie to keep me from suspecting. That's when I knew I had enough to confront her again, but this time I wanted to do it on my terms. I wasn't going to get dragged into some emotional shouting match. I needed to be calm, calculated. I waited until she was out for her usual errands, and I took all the evidence I had collected and put it in an envelope. I was ready. I went back to the house, my heart pounding so loud I thought she could hear it. When she got home, I told her I needed to talk and I showed her everything. Her face turned pale, and her usual bitchy smirk disappeared in an instant. That's when she realized I knew the truth. Her excuses started flowing. She said she was sorry, that it was a mistake, that she didn't mean for any of it to happen. But I didn't buy it. I saw right through her lies. At that moment, I felt a strange mix of relief and disgust. I was finally free from her bullshit, but it was hard to accept that I'd been so blind. That I'd trusted her for so long, only to find out she'd been betraying me all along. I knew I had a decision to make that night. I could forgive her, try to work things out, or I could walk away and start over. I was exhausted emotionally, but I knew deep down that I couldn't stay with someone who lied so blatantly, who saw me as nothing more than a fool to be played. This was the beginning of the end, and I was ready to face whatever came next. After I laid everything out on the table, her reaction was exactly what I expected: defensive, bitchy, and full of bullshit. She started crying, claiming she was sorry, that she didn't mean for any of it to happen, and that it was just a mistake. Yeah, right, I've heard that one before. She told me she was stressed, overwhelmed, and that I'd been too busy with work to notice how much she needed affection or whatever excuse she could come up with in that moment. But I wasn't buying any of it. I sat there, staring at her, feeling this weird mix of rage and sadness. The betrayal cut so deep I almost couldn't breathe. I kept thinking about the years we spent together, all the promises, the laughter, the plans for the future. And then I just saw her, this bitchy, manipulative woman who'd been sleeping with my best man, lying to my face about everything. She kept saying she loved me, that she was sorry, but honestly I couldn't even hear her anymore. All I saw was a liar, a cheat, a user. She kept throwing tantrums, saying I was overreacting, that I didn't understand what she was going through. She called me insecure, jealous, paranoid, told me I was making a mountain out of a molehill. I wanted to scream at her, tell her she was full of shit. Instead, I stayed calm, fought the urge to say everything I was feeling, how betrayed I felt, how much she'd ruined everything. I knew I had to be smart. Whatever I was going to do next, I had to be cold and precise. I told her I needed some time to think, that I didn't want to make any rash decisions right now. She begged me, cried, tried to guilt-trip me with how sorry she was and how she loved me. But honestly, her words just made me more disgusted. I could see her for what she really was, just a manipulative woman who'd do whatever it took to get her way, even if it meant sleeping around, lying, or blaming me for her mess. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat there thinking about how I'd let her get away with so much for so long. I kept replaying everything in my head, the signs I ignored, the moments I brushed off her strange behaviors. I felt so stupid for not seeing it sooner. And I also felt this intense desire to get rid of her, to cut her out of my life completely. I knew I couldn't stay with her after this. No matter how much I loved her, I couldn't be with someone who lied about being pregnant, who cheated on me with my best man, and who had the nerve to act like I was the crazy one. The next day, I made up my mind. I called a lawyer, scheduled a meeting, and started figuring out how to file for divorce. I also contacted a close friend of mine, someone I trust, to help me plan the next steps. I didn't want her to know I was serious yet. I needed to be sure I had all my ducks in a row before I confronted her again. I didn't want her to manipulate her way out of this like she always did. Meanwhile, Lisa kept texting me, trying to play the victim. She'd send me messages about how she was sorry, how she'd change, how she'd do anything to fix this. But I wasn't stupid. I knew her game. She was just trying to save her own ass, keep me from walking away completely. I didn't reply to her. I just blocked her number, refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break down. Honestly, I felt numb at that point, just numb to everything except the burning anger inside. In the days that followed, I slowly started distancing myself. I moved out of the house, gave her back her key, and began packing up my things. I didn't want to be there anymore, not with her manipulative ass still in the house. I told her I was done, that I was filing for divorce, and she flipped out, calling me heartless and crazy. But I didn't care. The only thing I cared about now was how to get out of this mess with my dignity intact. It hurts so much to know that the woman I loved, the woman I married, turned out to be a total liar and a cheat. I never thought I'd be that guy who gets cheated on, especially not by someone so close to me, my best man, no less. The betrayal feels like I've been punched in the gut every single day. But I also know I can't stay in this pain forever. I have to move forward, even if it means starting over from scratch. Sometimes I wonder how I'll ever trust again, or if I ever really knew her at all. But right now, all I know is that I deserve better than this, and I won't let her take any more from me. The day I finally told her it was over, Lisa's face twisted in a look I'd never seen before, like she was genuinely outraged that I wasn't falling apart at the seams. She screamed, called me a heartless bastard, and told me I was throwing away everything we built. I just looked at her and said I wasn't going to be played anymore. That I saw her for what she really was, nothing but a manipulative, selfish bitch who thought she could lie her way through life and get away with it. That was the last time I saw her. I packed my things that afternoon and moved into a small apartment nearby. I didn't want to be in that house, not with her still there, spinning her web of lies. I felt sick every time I thought about her with him, my best man, my supposed friend, sleeping with her at our wedding reception, sneaking around behind my back. The image haunted me, but I kept telling myself I'd be okay. I had to be for my own sanity, but the pain was real. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, that bitchy smirk, the way she looked at him like he was her salvation. The worst part was realizing how much I'd trusted her, how blind I'd been. She lied about the pregnancy, the future, everything. She used me, manipulated my love, and laughed behind my back. That realization was almost worse than the affair itself. It made me question everything about who she was, about our entire relationship. I started going to therapy, not because I thought I needed fixing, but because I knew I needed to process the betrayal, to understand how someone I loved could turn into that kind of person. My therapist helped me see that her actions were a reflection of her, not me. I also cut off all contact with her. No texts, no emails, no calls. I needed to create space, distance myself from her toxicity. It was the only way I could start healing. But even as I worked through the pain, I couldn't shake the feeling of anger. Anger at her, yes, but also at myself. How did I miss all the signs? Why didn't I see that she was lying, cheating, manipulating me? I kept asking myself if I should have known, if I should have fought harder, or if I was just too stupid to see it coming. The truth is, I trusted her so much that I refused to believe she could do something like this. And now I was paying the price. People kept telling me to move on, to forget about her, but it's not that easy. Every day I find myself staring out the window, thinking about everything I lost: my wife, my best friend, my sense of stability. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever truly recover from this. I don't even know if I want to trust again, or if I'll just be forever wary of anyone who tries to get close. One thing's for sure: I've learned the hardest lesson of my life. People can surprise you in the worst ways. You think you know someone, and then one day, everything you thought was real turns out to be a lie. I've been broken in ways I never imagined, and I know I'm not the same man I was before. But I'm trying to find my way back. Little by little, I'm rebuilding the pieces of myself. It's a slow process, and I know I'll carry this scar forever, but I have to keep going. For now, all I can do is focus on healing and moving forward, no matter how much it hurts. It's been a few months now since I moved out and cut her out of my life. Honestly, I still wake up some mornings feeling like I got hit by a truck. The pain of betrayal doesn't just go away, no matter how much I tell myself I've done the right thing. But I've also started to see some light at the end of the tunnel, even if it's faint. I've thrown myself into therapy, trying to figure out how to forgive myself for trusting her so blindly, and how to forgive her at all. It's a process I didn't sign up for, but it's necessary. I've been focusing on rebuilding my life. I've started working out more, which helps burn off some of that bottled-up rage. I've reconnected with some old friends I'd neglected over the years. It's funny how people you thought were just acquaintances suddenly become your lifeline. When everything falls apart, they listen, they offer support, and they remind me I'm not alone in this. Despite all the devastation, I realize I still have people who care about me, people who see me for who I am, not just as the guy who got betrayed. In the back of my mind, I keep asking myself what I'm going to do about the future. Honestly, I don't see myself jumping into another relationship anytime soon. Right now, I just want to get healthy emotionally. Trust is shattered, and I don't want to rush into anything that might just blow up in my face again. I need time to figure out what I want, what I deserve. I know I deserve better than someone who lies and cheats and treats marriage like it's disposable. That much I've learned. But I also know I have to be cautious. I've been hurt too badly to just trust blindly again. That's a hard lesson. Trust, once broken this badly, isn't easily repaired. I've learned to be more guarded, more careful with who I let into my life. I don't want to be paranoid, but I also don't want to be naive. Sometimes I catch myself wondering if I'll ever love again, that deep, true love I thought I had with Lisa. And honestly, I don't have an answer yet. Right now, I just want to focus on me. I've started reading again, books about healing, about resilience. I need to remind myself that life doesn't stop because someone betrayed you, that you can get through this, even if it takes a long time. I've also come to accept that some wounds don't fully heal, they just become part of you. You carry them around, learning to live with them, learning to be stronger because of them. The biggest takeaway so far: no matter how much someone can hurt you, you have to keep going. You have to rebuild piece by piece. And sometimes that means walking away from everything you thought was real. It's painful as hell, but it's necessary. I still have a long way to go, but I'm doing my best to keep moving forward. That's all anyone can do, really. Just take it one day at a time, even when it feels impossible. Because one day I'll look back and realize I survived this. And maybe, just maybe, I'll find happiness again, even if it's somewhere I never expected. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about everything I went through and what it all means now. Honestly, it's been one hell of a ride: pain, anger, grief, and finally, a slow process of healing. I won't lie, some days are still brutal. I wake up with that empty feeling in my chest, remembering how I trusted her, how I believed in the life we were building. And then I remember how she threw it all away, sleeping with my best man, lying about the pregnancy, acting like I was the crazy one. It's a lot to process, But I've come to a place where I realize I can't let her define me anymore. That chapter is closed. I can't change what happened, but I can choose how I move forward from here. I don't hate her, at least not anymore. I just feel sorry for her, honestly. She's the one who lost her integrity, her dignity, her marriage. I lost a lot, but I also gained clarity. I see now that my worth isn't tied to someone who manipulates and cheats. I deserve honesty, respect, and real love. And I'm finally starting to believe I'll find that again someday. What I've learned from all this is simple but powerful. Trust is fragile and it can be shattered in a second. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Don't ignore the signs, no matter how much you want to see the best in people. Because if you don't, you might end up heartbroken just like I did. But even after all the pain, I know I'm stronger than I thought. I've learned to stand on my own, to rebuild from the ashes, and to accept that some things are beyond my control. For those reading this who might be in a similar situation, I'll say this: don't be afraid to walk away. Don't convince yourself that someone who cheats and lies will change. Sometimes the only way to heal is to cut ties completely. It's going to hurt, no doubt about it. But healing is better than living in a constant state of betrayal and doubt. Give yourself time, be patient with your heart. And don't forget, you're worthy of someone who truly values you, not someone who treats you like an option. I'm still healing, still figuring out what the future holds, but I'm no longer the broken man I was months ago. I'm learning to love myself again, piece by piece. And someday I believe I'll find happiness, real, honest happiness that isn't built on lies. Until then, I'll keep moving forward, carrying the lessons I've learned and the scars I've earned. Because in the end, life goes on. And I will too.